So we are talking about the 2015 movie The Hoarder, which is also known as A Bunker. This one directed by Matt Wynn. Now I have to give a little bit of a shout out to a fellow YouTuber called Retro Horror, who actually did a review and reminded me I actually kind of needed to do this review myself. I'd seen the cover to this movie a little while ago and I kind of quite fancied it and just forgot all about it, and watching his review did remind me to actually do it myself. So the story here basically is a group of people are trapped into a self-storage facility after hours, basically, and there seems to be something in there that is stalking them with some kind of menace. Now, what adds a little bit of personal flavour to myself, so I actually have worked in a self-storage facility, and I can tell you they are somewhat creepy, so it's actually quite amusing to kind of see this as a kind of a backdrop with these kind of people trapped in there. So what did I like and what did I not like about The Hoarder? So let's go with the negatives first of all. I've got to say the biggest one for me is the dialogue. The dialogue in this film is terrible. It's so on the nose and cheesy at times. I can't believe these words are falling out of these actors' mouths. But the actual dialogue here is very, very unsatisfying. The acting too, I would say, although not bad, it certainly feels like the actors here are somewhat slumming it. You've got some kind of recognisable names, Mischa, Barton, Robert Nepper, who you may know from Prison Break, among other things. You know, people who have done a lot of acting experience just seem to be slumming it a little bit, and we don't really feel like they are doing much acting here, more or less just kind of slumming their way through the script, essentially. So the acting wasn't fantastic. I feel the kind of the sense of claustrophobia as well wasn't fully kind of appreciated. This film is actually quite a lot like the movie Creep, which is a UK horror film, and a little bit like Descent as well. We have a kind of people trapped in an enclosed environment with a somewhat anemic kind of like adversary with a kind of a golem look to him. So there are certain comparisons to be made here, but I never really got the impression of a feeling of claustrophobia that I think would have benefited from this film. So that was a little bit disappointing, and also when the main antagonist is revealed here, it's probably the least scary antagonist that you've ever seen. It's also rather generic, to be honest. When it's all sort of said and done, you think, actually, that was kind of more or less just a standard creature on the loose film without any kind of real thrills or surprises here. And there are some sort of things where I question why certain things are done, what actually happened to the victims here. It's never really explained why to a satisfactory level, and why certain things are done to their bodies. It's just kind of like, why? What's the point? Anyway, so let's talk about some of the positives here. I've got to say, I really did enjoy the makeup effects. I thought they were done quite well, and looked quite realistic, and with a good effect. So I did like the makeup effects here and the kind of the visual effects. And I also think the actual setting here is fantastic. It looks like it was actually shot in a storage facility, and they have this kind of this conceit where there's this essentially a secret floor where all this kind of weird stuff originates from, and that looks awesome, I thought. Pretty good there. Clearly this company doesn't have a regional manager that kind of goes around and checks it, but that's all I'm saying. And there are some sort of quite good sort of set pieces here. A lot of the deaths are actually off screen, or kind of just out, just slightly away from the actual action, which is a little bit disappointing, but there are some kind of quite reasonable deaths here. But it does do one of those things where you think, well, they're not showing you the antagonist killing people. It's all kind of off screen. You think that in itself is a kind of clue to, okay, clearly they're going to have some kind of reveal later on in the movie, which was a little obvious and kind of played its hand a little bit in regards to some of the twist there. Overall, I've got to say, although it was kind of fun, it was certainly a generic horror film, saddled with terrible dialogue and, okay acting, with a reasonable kind of creature effects. So overall, I would say this is an okay film. It's kind of a pleasant creature on the loose type movie that you're not going to remember, or probably not going to watch again, but you'll have a reasonable fun whilst watching it. So I'll give this movie a 4.5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.